Hi, this is Moriah Wicker and Cassie DW with KW here in Plymouth.
Welcome to Selling the South Shore, Real Estate in Real Life.
Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or live like a local, we've got you covered. Let's dive into today's topic.
All right, so Moriah, what do you think the number one thing is to help make a smooth transaction?
So I would say, and we've kind of talked about this before, thinking big picture and being agreeable. So that means just like, if you have kids, like picking your battles with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And we also compare sometimes the real estate transaction to getting married. It's not if something will go wrong, but when. And maybe not even going wrong, but there's going to be something that has to get solved, and there's solutions. It's just that there are going to be things that come up from start to finish. There's going to be timelines that change, needs change, and you need to be agreeable to not make that 45 days stressful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, when you say agreeable, like, what does that look like? So we're thinking about putting in an offer, going through negotiations. What does being agreeable look like to you?
So for me, it's you submit the offer, you go maybe back and forth with the seller. Sometimes I see people get they have that competitive nature to want to win, but just keeping in mind that winning is getting the house.
Yes.
Not having beating your opponent down type of thing.
Yep.
So if you and the seller come to a point where you're 5 or 10 grand, you hope the other side's being agreeable too, and they're having that same conversation about what's the end goal here. And it is important to have a line in the sand, but also I've seen people say, well, this was a flip, let's say, for example, or a renovation, and they bought this house for $250 and now they're selling it for $5. They're making $250.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, they bought it for $250. There could have been a lien on the property for $50,000.
Yep.
They've been carrying it for 10 months. They spent $100K on renovations.
Yeah.
They have a real estate agent that they're paying. They have an attorney. They have taxes on it. This is their job. So they might make $50,000 on this transaction, but this is their job.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been working on that for 10 months.
Yeah. So
what they're getting really shouldn't play into how you curate your offer,
Yeah. And I think especially when in that scenario, it's knowing your agents, really also knowing what to expect in the market of that time.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get way under ask in March off of a flip when there's other offers, you're just not even going to be looked at. But if you get that opportunity to be able to negotiate, and you're not having to give your best and final at that, it's exactly where, as they say in Keller Williams, win-win or no deal. Yep. So it's obviously us as your agent, we want to get the absolute best possible thing for you. Yeah. But again, if your end game is getting the best deal for a place, or is your end game getting the house that you love?
Exactly.
And I feel like that when we know what it is that our clients want, that's when we're able to best advise as to what to do in those scenarios.
There's also the seller could have a number that they have to hit in order for it to make sense for them to do whatever's part B. So you may say, well, the market value is $670 and the seller wants $685, and they can't come down from that because otherwise it doesn't make sense for them to do whatever they have to do next.
Mm-hmm.
You may have to just ask yourself, will the market be $685 in 6 months from now, and do I plan on living there in 6 months?
Yeah.
Am I buying this to flip as an investor?
Yep.
Or do I see myself living here for 10 years? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to make that margin up at some point, or I could see myself putting 15 into it, or whatever it is. Yeah, I just think that perspective. And then you would ask what that looks like. So after the offer, it's then, okay, now we have the home inspection. Mm-hmm. We want to be asking for safety and structural things only, not things that we probably could have seen at the showing, or now we got really excited and now we're kind of backpedaling on what we are willing to spend.
Yeah.
And I think again, if now in that situation, let's say you've asked for 2 or 3 things and the seller said yes to everything, but then you get to purchase and sales and maybe the seller's moving into another property and their closing got delayed for whatever reason and they need you to extend a week. It's not your problem that that happened, but you have no idea if your employer might be kind of late in getting your lender the employment verification that they need before closing, and you might end up needing that time. And you want the seller to think of you, okay, well, they've been agreeable, or hey, they were agreeable with me for the home inspection, I'll be agreeable with them on extending. Now, if you end up occurring some financial hardship because of that extension, it might be worth saying, okay, yeah, I'll agree to extend, but I need $1,000 to cover my daily rental now because I've already moved out, or whatever it is. So it's just like there's a solution to every problem. Just like, again, like, think big picture, try and be agreeable. There's always something that comes up, and that's why you need like a team of people to support you that are problem solvers, not just, oh, that happened, and then just who cares. So
makes me think my first transaction, literally the first buyer ever, we put in the offer. In the offer, we wrote dishwasher, range, whatever, and dishwasher was like in the offer. And then at the home inspection time, there was no dishwasher. It had a couple problems. Like, it had a really old water heater, which, yes, I then realized after, like, we saw that at the home inspection, like, should have known that, at the showing. And there's a lot of things that, being a new agent, I didn't quite realize. So, like, I saw it as like, oh, this home inspection, let's just check it all down. And we went 15 over ask, but we'll get that money back after the home inspection and we'll just knock it all down. And we wrote in dishwasher, but then we learned there was no dishwasher. And when we came back with our demand of like what we wanted, they were like, this is ridiculous. Like, you just put in a fake offer. Like, you just slashed us down to like pretty much at asking. Like, what are you doing? And we're like, okay, well, you also like accepted our offer agreeing to put in a dishwasher. So like, what are we, but like neither side would budget. Like, it was just this hostile situation. And it just, it was not good. And then one of the things that they had to do with the FHA loan, they had to put a railing on. Let me tell you, they put the worst railing ever.
Well, you don't want them leaving their water going intentionally, being like, F these new buyers, these people that are going to own my home next week. Like, you want them to find, like, I don't know, like an expensive antique thing and be like, you know what, I'll leave that for the new homeowner,
Yeah, so there's like on both sides of the transaction, and especially like if you like that list agent, you realize you messed up with the dishwasher, like just be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Like, we put dishwasher in the MLS, but there isn't one here. So, sorry, it is what it is. But he was like so rude and just being like, well, you should have known, like, that's not my mistake. And both sides were just crazy. So being, especially in those negotiations, which I feel like one of our other videos, like we talked about negotiations, and the agreeable part is so important that both sides are happy, because it's inevitable that delays happen. It's inevitable that issues come up in home inspections, anything like that. And if both sides are headstrong and they're not going to give and take, you're set for pretty miserable, like you said, like 45 days of just stress. Whereas we can all be adults, we can all be professional and get it done.
And doesn't mean that like we don't want to get you the best deal possible. We want to advocate for you and and all that, but sometimes like we've learned that bedside manner on what makes two very stressful people. It's stressful on both ends, a seller and a buyer. Your best self does not come out in the real estate transaction. We need to tell, it's kind of like having a baby when I'm like, I'm so sorry that I'm not really always this. I'm sorry for the things I said in my third trimester. I'm sorry for the things that I said when I was trying to sell or buy a house. That's what we're here for, to kind of be that emotional filter so that your emotions don't screw up a business transaction.
So we have the team around us on all kind of facets of real estate. So from the first day we meet you till 6 months after you've been living in your home.
Yeah.
Try to make it as stress-free as possible. And if you have any questions or have been thinking about buying or selling, obviously give us a call, reach out. We'd love to, put you on that path to whatever your goal is. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll see you next week for whatever our topic is.